Hello everybody, welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make some Viennese Whirl biscuits. These are a very crumbly, melt in the mouth type biscuit, which I usually sandwich together with some buttercream and some jam, sometimes with just some chocolate I think. Sometimes they're individual ones with chocolate on the bottom. They're quite simple to make, and I have made them before, but I don't think they turned out as well as they should have done. That's why I'm going to give them another try. And I've started off by preheating my oven to 190 Celsius. That's 170 Celsius with a fan, 375 Fahrenheit. And I've lined a couple of baking trays with parchment paper, and I have drawn some 2.5-inch circles on the parchment paper like that, and I've turned the parchment paper over so that the ink side is not going to touch the biscuits. I also have a piping bag with a star nozzle ready because I'm going to pipe this batter when we've made it. So I'll go on to the ingredients, and for the cookie or biscuit batter I have 125 grams which is 1 stick plus a tablespoon of very soft unsalted butter. You could use salted butter, but I have a pinch of salt here. If you use salted butter you don't need the pinch of salt. I have 125 grams, which is half a cup plus 1/3 of a cup of plain flour. That's based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup. I have 25 grams, 3 tablespoons of icing sugar, 25 grams, 3 tablespoons of corn flour, and half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. That's for the Viennese Whirl biscuits. And then for the buttercream, I have 100 grams of icing sugar, which is 3/4 of a cup plus a tablespoon, and I have 50 grams, 3.5 tablespoons of soft unsalted butter. I have half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and I also have 40 grams of raspberry jam, which is just really a heaped spoon, but you can use more if you want. I think that should be enough. So I'm going to set the buttercream ingredients to one side, and we'll make the batter. And I'm going to do this in the processor bowl of my immersion blender. A food processor will work just fine. So I'm going to put in the flour and the corn flour, and the icing sugar, plus the salt. And I'm actually just going to give that a little bit of a blitz, just to get that mixed a little bit together. That's good enough. And then I'm going to put in my little drop, half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and my softened butter. And I'm then going to process this until it forms a paste. Now, during the course of this I'm going to have to scrape my bowl down, I'm sure, so that we get everything off the sides. And that looks quite good like that. Didn't take very long at all. And I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to put it into my piping bag, which I have here. And with the mixture in my piping bag, I'm going to try to pipe a circle just inside the rim of each of the circles that I've drawn, and then pipe in the middle as well, like that. And so with those piped, and I've actually got 2, 4, 6, 8, I've got 10 out of mine. I'm going to put those into the oven, and I'm going to bake them for between 13 and 15 minutes until they just turn a pale golden colour. I take them out of the oven and allow them to cool down for 5 minutes before putting them onto a wire rack to cool completely. Then I'll come back and we'll make the buttercream as well. I baked the Viennese Whirl biscuits for 13 minutes, and they seem to be going a golden colour, so I took them out and I've allowed them to cool down quite a bit. They did lose a little bit of definition, and I don't know whether if I had chilled them before I baked them they would have retained that definition a little bit more, but they still look quite good. So this is them, and I'm going to go on to make the buttercream, and for that I've put my butter into a bowl, and I'm going to put the icing sugar in as well. You could sift this in, but because I'm using a hand mixer I think it will be fine. And I'm going to put in my ½ teaspoon of vanilla extract, and I'm simply going to process this until it's nice and light and fluffy. And I'm going to start it on a very low speed because I don't want the icing sugar to go everywhere. So that's quite light and fluffy now, and I'm going to put that into a piping bag. You could use a spoon or a knife and just spread it on the cookies, but I'm going to put it into a piping bag. And I'm going to pipe that onto half of the cookies or biscuits. So I'll turn over half of them, like that, and just pipe a circle of the buttercream around the edge. Like that. And then I piped just a little dab in the centre as well, like that. And after that I simply need to take some jam and spread it onto the cookie or biscuit and place that on as well, and then turn it upside down like that so that the jam's on the bottom. I think that's how it's supposed to be. So this is what they look like with the buttercream and the jam in them, and I'll have a taste of one. The biscuit, the Viennese biscuit, is soft and crumbly. It almost melts in the mouth, and then that buttery creamy mixture and the jam, very, very good indeed. So this is actually very, very easy to make, and I think, as I said earlier, that maybe chilling them for 15 minutes before putting them into the oven, maybe while the oven's preheating, may help retain the definition of the swirls that little bit better. But they turned out perfectly well and they taste delicious. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for this recipe, and I'll put a link for it below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.